ongoing Cuomo investigation. New York Democratic Assemblyman Ron Kim says he's received support from other lawmakers after saying that Governor Cuomo threatened him in a phone call over the alleged cover-up into the nursing home COVID-19 deaths. Cuomo and his representatives have denied Kim's accusations, even Alec Baldwin weighing in, tweeting this: "If Cuomo threatened Ron Kim's career, Cuomo should resign." I want to bring in New York State Senator Jim Tedisco, and it's great to have you here, sir. And I first want to get your reaction to what seems to be a bipartisan attack on Cuomo and these calls for him to resign.
Well, absolutely. I think when you're a progressive Democrat, a liberal, and you lose Alec Baldwin, you know you're in big trouble. But he was in big trouble before Alec Baldwin decided to disown him. This has been a complete cover-up over the last 8 to 10 months of a monumental disaster beyond just the pandemic. This is the loss, as we research this thing and finally get information of a complete cover-up. And as you know, for a public servant and what Andrew Cuomo was doing, the cover-up is always mostly worse than what you're trying to cover up. And indeed it is. 15,000 of our most vulnerable population, our nursing home and congregate living individuals, lost their lives. And this governor has been covering up the numbers. And now we've been calling for investigations. They've been calling to move my bill for an outside independent investigation, bipartisan with subpoena powers. Actually, Ron Kim, who the governor has attacked, a Democrat in the majority, has sponsored my bill. So what the governor has managed to do is not only a gigantic cover-up, he's managed to do something very difficult in New York State, bring Democrats and Republicans together. We are all calling now for a complete investigation, of course, supporting what's happening in Brooklyn, downstate New York now, with the FBI and the U.S. attorneys for an investigation. But one shoe after another is dropping right now. So many shoes are dropping. You may call this whole thing a centipede right now. The AG, who was one of his allies, did an investigation and came out and said it was a 50% undercount of the loss of lives he's been hiding. And the fact that on March 25th, he put forth a mandate, an executive order that said contagious individuals would have to be accepted into nursing homes. And he himself defined that as a wildfire going through dry grass. And of course, we had his chief of staff, as you know, thinking she was talking to 8 allies, Democrats from the legislature. She admitted that it wasn't what the Commissioner Zucker was saying, why they weren't putting forth these numbers or giving us the information, because they thought they wanted to count the numbers completely or find out if there was duplications of death. She said we covered it up because there was a DOJ investigation. Well, that was an inquiry. There's really an investigation taking place right now, and this is not going to end well for the governor. He is illustrating, he's got more angles than a geometry book. He has another excuse every day why we lost 15,000 of our most vulnerable populations. And I can commensurate with Ron Kim because I experienced a governor that was a bully, a liar, a distortioner, and the fact that this governor won't accept any criticism, he won't apologize to the loved ones. His top chief of staff, Melissa DeRosa, as I mentioned, brought those individuals in and thought they would become allies, those Democrats from the legislature. They were just the opposite. They were outraged that she would apologize to them, but wouldn't apologize to the family members who lost their lives.
Well, let me pick up on something though that you said, because I want to kind of go down this road. You know, because there is talk of impeachment. But to your point about Governor Cuomo being a bully, you know, we've seen him deflect, fight back consistently when asked by reporters about whether it's the coronavirus, the nursing home director from last March. Republican lawmakers, obviously, in the state assembly, you know, they want this impeachment commission now to investigate his handling of the crisis with the nursing homes. But Democratic lawmakers are looking into stripping him of his emergency powers. That seems to me, like I said, I've watched this governor for a year. That seems to me more likely that at least his emergency powers would be stripped.
Well, I think they plan on, and we plan on putting that forth again on Monday anyway. Every day we've been in session, my Republican conference has put forth an amendment on the floor to take back our duly elected power and take back what is so-called emergency powers from this governor. Because what we're finding out now, this was not only lies, distortions, and a cover-up. Every shoe dropping is leading towards an obstruction of justice by this governor. And yes, I believe first thing we have to do is take back these powers that we have given to the governor, because that was early on in the emergency. He hasn't handled it well in terms of this area. But we have to have an internal, complete investigation, a deep dive into this to make sure that we not only give closure to the loved ones who lost their family members, but we figure out how to do this better. This is one of the worst disasters in the history of New York State, maybe this nation. 15,000 of our most vulnerable population have lost their lives. The governor's got himself so deep into this cover-up, he's not facing reality right now. And we know it never ends well when you try to cover up what's taking place. What you cover up usually ends up making it worse for you, and this is making it worse for the governor. In the final analysis, I think there's going to be three options. He's going to have to resign. There's going to be impeachment, which we're ready to probably bring forth shortly ourselves in the New York State Senate, or this is going to be a criminal investigation and a dereliction of duty type of thing, or obstruction of justice brought forth by the federal government, the DOJ, and maybe internally from us in the legislature.
I would love to keep talking with you. I would love to keep talking. We're up against a hard break. Jim Tedisco, thank you very much, Jim, for being here. Please come back. All right, coming up, popping the question.